brand new Ghost Recon game is apparently in its final year of development, and it's taken some inspiration from Ready or Not, which is a tactical SWAT simulator. Now, of course, at this point, these are all rumors, so take everything you're going to hear here with a grain of salt. There'll be a link to the original article in the description below, but these do look to be credible. And the baseline idea here is that they're ditching the open world that the Ghost Recon games have come to be known for. They're also ditching the third-person camera and going back to a first-person shooter. And then the gameplay is apparently reminiscent of Modern Warfare games and Ready or Not. Now, I will say that's a little bit of a contradiction because, of course, Modern Warfare games are known for their mobility, and in Ready or Not, you can't even sprint. However, I certainly love the idea of this because if you're going away from the open world, you can go for more linear experience, better storytelling, and also much more interesting tactical gameplay in close quarters, which is what I think they'd probably be going with the Ready or Not element. And then the quote about it being like a Modern Warfare game, I assume that would be more like the graphics and possibly the intensity of the story and how it's told. And right now, this gives me a very positive image of what this game might be like. Because if I'm the Ghost team going into like buildings and doing room by room clearing, and it being extremely tactical and a little bit slower paced than what you would get out of Call of Duty, but more like Ready or Not, I would love the heck out of that. And certainly for me, Ghost Recon Wildlands and Breakpoint were okay. Like the open worlds were quite interesting to play with, but they had no focus. And that was always to me their issue. And obviously with Breakpoint, adding all the tech in with the drones was the worst element, I think. And I would absolutely love for this game to be set in the past a little bit before we have any major tech advances. And they can still bring in some of the stuff they're known for, like the active camo or stuff like that, but just make it far more limited in use. It's also said this is a PvE experience game, so no PvP whatsoever. And this is, I think, the wheelhouse for Ghost Recon. And certainly the best one for me was Ghost Recon Future Soldier. I used to return to that every couple of years and play the entire campaign again with my friends. And it was always a great experience every time. And that game was a little bit more of a linear experience. Now, what these rumors don't go into is the story. So this is a big thing that could easily be messed up. And the major problem I have here is that Ubisoft has got very soft with their stories. So obviously Rainbow Six Siege, we had them turn into like this sporting thing where they played in arenas shooting each other. And then more recently, I was talking to some devs about the actual kind of construction of stories and stuff in kind of Tom Clancy games these days. And one thing they try to stay away from is stuff like suicide bombers, because they think, you know, if someone's trying to blow themselves up, it's not really a thing we want to have in our games. But the way I think of it is if someone wants to do that for their cause, they believe in their cause that much that they want to do that kind of thing, that means they think they're the good guy. And what they're resorting to is essentially desperation. It's their last possible option, but they're doing it because they think they're doing the right thing. And that is, of course, what makes that kind of stuff the scariest part of it. And then that's the interesting thing about bringing in inspiration from Ready or Not. I imagine the inspiration is gameplay, not story. Because Ready or Not deals with subjects that I don't think Ubisoft would even touch these days. And personally, I do want something, you know, and everyone always says this, the gritty story. And the gritty story is just an uncomfortable story, right? Something where things happen that you would not want to happen. And hopefully that makes you as the ghost operator want to go in to stop that stuff from happening. Now, the great thing about this rumor is that apparently this game is in the final year of development, which means it's actually going to get announced within the next 4 to 6 months, so probably this year, and it's planned to launch sometime at the end of 2026, so really not that long to wait. Now, I would easily add on 6 months, because I think there's a good chance you'll probably get a delay, and then it comes out in 2027, maybe the middle of the year. I certainly would not just assume that it's going to launch on time, but if it does, that would be sweet. So in conclusion, we have a brand new Ghost Recon game apparently in development in its final year. It's going to be somewhat based on Ready or Not. It'll be interesting to see if that's gameplay wise or story wise or something, you know, a bit of the both maybe, and having a link in kind of to the Modern Warfare style games as well. I'm kind of hoping that it's not set too far in the future and has a good kind of handle on its technology. I don't want any little drones buzzing around or stuff like that. But if you want to add in some of their signature stuff like active camo that's maybe just very limited in its amount of time it can be used, I'm totally fine with that. And then they're also apparently ditching the open world, going for a much more linear experience, with no PvP, it's all PvE. That'll mean definitely a single player campaign, but I'm also of course hoping for a co-op campaign because I think Ghost Recon games are great at that, and I'd be absolutely surprised if it didn't. I would also assume this is going to be a standalone game with no live service elements, and I would assume that it would probably have a few cosmetic bundles you can buy. If it ends up being a live service game, then I'm probably less interested overall. But the main takeaway is definitely that if this does indeed get announced this year and launches next year, I'm going to be very, very happy to play a lot of this. Anyway guys, let me know what you think of this news in the comments below, and I'll catch you next time.